the primary criteria were the rankings.
Okay.
And which university and what rank is it at,
Mm-hmm.
and what is the ROI,
Okay.
the return on the investment that I will do.
Definitely. Spoken like a true business professional, right?
So a deal breaker for me was you not giving me a list of schools, partner schools that I want to join.
Little off topic, but I
Yeah.
think my entire
That's fine.
SOP is such that apart from my parents and my family, I guess your team is the one who knows about in and out. So I
Right.
think that's how in-depth research you guys have done.
But what was that one unexpected thing from our side which actually made you say, okay, this is something that I was not expecting, and they're going to this heights or to this length?
For me, your co-founder Pragya getting involved very, very deeply into my profile,
Right.
like just one student's profile, and doing all of that stuff.
Hi guys, so today we have two Boston admits here, right? And this is Hitansu and that's Harshul. And we'll be starting this podcast with a very, generic question. First of all, like why MBA, right? So Hitansu here was the business unit head in Mumbai, and he was leading a team of 150 people, I guess, right? And Harshul had 3 years with KPMG, right? He was a business head there as well. Still, you guys pitched in and wanted to go for an MBA. First of all, right? So my first question is directed towards that. Why an MBA right now at this stage of the career? First, Hitanshu, you can go.
So first of all, the reason being, I was in the edtech space, and
Right.
The edtech space kind of saturated while the COVID period hit. And post that, when I reached a senior management designation, I felt my learning curve at that point of time plateaued.
Okay.
And I felt that to go up the ladder to the next executive level, I would need a formal education and a formal degree.
Okay.
And the MBA is the best way to do it. So that's the reason.
Okay. And you, Harshul?
So I decided to do an MBA because I wanted to up my game in terms of my leadership skills. Because apart from being a business associate at KPMG, I had my own startup back in college in
Right.
advertising and PR. So I wanted to improve my leadership skills, team management skills. I wanted to increase my network. So that's why I chose that this is the right time, right step to do an MBA now after 4 years of working.
Okay. Now coming to the entire experience of this, right? So you guys are going to Boston, you with a $45,000 scholarship, you with a $30,000 scholarship, right? So it has been around 6 months for you, 6 to 7 months for you. You have been in this for 1 year. So at the end of the day, right now, how does it feel now that everything that you thought कि हाँ भाई एक scholarship चाहिए, you needed a good admit, now it's there. How does it feel, Abhi? Like before going, right now, before starting this entire journey, apart from the vacations that you're going to take, right? So how does it feel right now?
So for me, right now, I'm a little elated. The reason being, there's a new opportunity which is coming, and I
Right.
would want to explore that.
Right.
And I'm a little nervous, but also happy.
Okay.
And that's a new learning process that I will be going into. So I'm
Right.
excited to explore that.
Explore that. Right. And you, Harshul?
It feels great. I'm excited to enter into this new stage of my life. I'm looking forward to the good 2 years. Looking forward to network with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Meet MIT people, Harvard people.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, I was going to come there where you guys are going to Boston University. It's not just the university, it's the city as well, right? Provides you a lot of opportunities, right? And I think this would have been one thing that you would have thought that if I'm doing an MBA, if I'm investing 50 lakhs into one course, the one thing that I want to work out is network, right? So you guys have friends, you guys have people in USA, right, that are already there who have lived this part of this, entire university life. So how important is networking according to you guys? You guys have yourself good networks in India, right? So how important is networking in today's era?
So for me, I feel at the end of the day, be it any job that you do, be it any field that you go into, your network or the people around you, they are the one who lift you up.
Right.
So I think networking at the end of the day is very important in terms of if you want to catapult your career into a trajectory which is what you would want to become.
Right.
So I think networking is very important at the end of the day, even if whatever field of business you are in.
Very true. Yeah.
So for me, my network is my network. That's what I do with
Right.
motto with life. So the people I network with are very selective, and I tend to interact with everyone, but I tend to exchange my credentials with selective people because I want a network which is very precise and which is very vast, so that when I graduate after an MBA, so I have a lot of opportunities.
You're selective around your network, right? You don't want to give your LinkedIn to everybody.
Yeah, not everyone, but obviously I want to make friends.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. One question to you, Harshul, right? Because I've been your counselor, so I know you also have hobbies around the side, right? So you like to play music and all. So many a time students ask this, that extracurricular activities, how important are they in their MBA application, right? So do you think like all of these works, or even Hitanshu, you have worked with NGOs and all, right? So how important is this part of the application, like the extracurricular, the personality part of the application?
I think it's very important because showing your extracurriculars brings out your personality and
Right.
multiple sides of your personality.
Hmm.
How diverse are you as a person?
Right.
So I play music, I'm a part-time DJ.
Right.
My startup also, I work with NGOs also. So
Hmm.
that shows that I am a multitasker
Hmm.
and I'm able to network with these people and
Right.
meeting people every day. So
Yeah.
that shows my personality, that I will be able to communicate with the university in
Right.
a better manner with the students.
Right. You, Hitanshu?
So for me, extracurricular has always been a very important part of my career.
Right.
And the reason being, I feel if you have extracurricular, then as a person, you also act differently in different situations.
True.
So I play state level tennis player. I'm into F1, sports and cars. So I feel all of that kind of has made me what I am today in terms of my conversations with people.
Right.
So that is kind of a starter, which will give you a heads up in an MBA while you're doing an MBA, in an international MBA especially.
Right.
Because in India we are not that much focused into extracurriculars when we go into Indian MBA schools.
Right.
But if you go to an international MBA school, they are very much focused into why you want to do an MBA, apart from your academics, how you are as a human,
Right.
what is your personality.
Right.
So I think that is very important if you want to do an MBA from outside the country.
Okay. Okay. So I think you pulled out a very good trigger point, to be honest, right? Because you work for KPMG, right? You work for Extra Marks. These are both brilliant organizations to be a part of, right? You had like 150 people. You have led KPMG people, right? So we have other KPMG students. So we know how difficult it is to reach a leader position there. You guys could have easily took your potential to an IIM, right? To an Indian MBA, right? But you guys had that ambition to go to the top universities abroad. So what exactly about this abroad MBAs or these Boston universities or Harvard universities MBAs was so lucrative for you guys? Like first, Hitanshu.
So for me, so my family has been a big influence. The reason being, I have two sisters who are from the top tier colleges in India, from FMS and from ExamB.
Right.
So I know that after a point in your career, that degree, that Indian degree, which is great, I would not say it is not great.
Yeah, definitely.
But 10 years down the line, that kind of dilutes.
Right.
Because in today's market, today's ever evolving, changing tech market, you can't have a general MBA degree from India, which will take you like past that career which you think of.
Right.
And it will be limited to India itself.
Right. For example, I think I will add on COVID, right? That was not something anybody predicted. So this is where, some degrees couldn't look past it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So I think that's what I've learned from my sisters, that within 10 years, 15 years down the line, your Indian MBA degree, even from a top university, would not be that much worth instead of an international MBA.
Right.
So that's the reason I think international MBA is more predictable now.
Right.
And a little more lucrative right now. Okay.
Yeah. You are
So for me, since like in college back in 2015, so this has been one goal that I want to study abroad since I started doing my BBA. So this was one goal that I want to go abroad since then. I manifested this since then. And I wanted to go abroad before COVID, but I wasn't able to. And then I went AceMyPrep after COVID, and this dream came into a reality now. And I feel the exposure which I get over there, doing an MBA abroad, like the people I meet, the network from different countries, and also I meet a lot of new people. I'll interact, I'll stay alone, I'll interact with a lot of new people. That will develop my personality and my interpersonal skills, which is a basic for me right now.
Okay.
So that's why
Okay. Got it. So usually students, whoever are planning to go abroad or so, they feel that this entire process, 6-month, 1-year process, is very heavy. Now you two guys are very chilled, right? I know you guys from the beginning. You guys are very chilled about the process also. But even during this 6 months or 1 year, did you ever feel that strain? ये मतलब अभी I'm a little fixated. अभी offers नहीं आए हैं. So that's a very crucial period where your applications are done, but offers are not in yet, right? So what do you think about that? Like how pressurizing is that, or how people can manage with this entire 6 month process?
So for me, especially, that's the 3 months process with you and Shub and with Pragya was not that tasking, honestly, because of the conversations that we were having very regularly, even while submitting the applications and even after we have submitted the applications.
Right.
So that is one thing which I really appreciate, that the contact was never lost.
Right.
It was always consistent conversations, which was keeping, which was helping me keep my
same
and
sanity.
I was able to muddle through that and like get to that.
Right. You are sure?
So for me, I enrolled like a year ago. So I had a lot of options to explore: fall 2022 intake, spring 23 intake, and fall 23 intake. So I got a lot of time. A lot of research was done. Shub helped me a lot. Shub was my career strategist. So I asked a lot of questions to him, and I did my own research. So if you enroll early, you get a lot of time and the process is smooth, according to me, because for me, I applied in round 1 for most of the universities and I got my offers in December itself. So it was pretty smooth for me.
Yeah. That
it wasn't that overwhelming as compared to Hitansu, I guess. But in terms of doing SOPs and writing everything down in detail, what you have done in your entire lifetime, that was a little overwhelming and I was anxious back then, but it was good.
I think Hitansu would have also started early because if he would have got that trigger, right, that other people are going abroad, right? So if you have gotten that trigger, you would have applied early. But this is something that we actually preach a lot, that if you start early, many things become easy. The scholarships become easy, the application process, interviews are very easily scheduled. But yeah, sometimes people, like the busiest month for us is January because people wake up in December, right? Because during Christmas, they feel like, no, let's go abroad, right? So anyway, moving forward, Hitanshu, this question will be towards you because I think you talked to a lot of counselors, right, before narrowing it down to one. So how did that process go? Like, what were you looking forward to? Right, you said constant communication was one, but your sisters already have gone through this process. You had contacts out there. So what were you looking for in a counselor when you were wanting someone to assist you in this? What were you looking forward to?
So for me, the most important aspect of getting in touch with a counselor, with any counselor, was first their empathy.
Okay.
Are they empathetic towards the situation that I'm in right now?
Okay.
Or they want to just make their business?
Okay.
So that's the ground reality which I
Right.
would like to put there out.
Right.
So for me, when I spoke to other counselors, be it like I would name a few: Leap Scholar, Lilac, other management masters. So what I saw was I was just another application for them.
Right.
I was just another student for them who's just come in, was given his application, was paid the fees, and we do his process.
Right.
But what I felt with AceMyPrep when I came in touch with you guys, what I felt was that boutique and that personal touch.
Right.
Where you guys were giving a little bit more attention to detail in terms of what I wanted and how I wanted to do it.
Right.
Rather than just imposing on what you have already a pre-decided notion of how
just
it should go.
Sending you abroad.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's kind of helped me, that you made a tailor-made SOP and a tailor-made process for me.
Right.
And which is it's not equivalent to the other students, is what I felt. So that's, I guess, one thing which I really appreciated.
Personal touch, I would say.
Personal touch.
Okay, take it. And when we were moving forward with it also, when you were coming down to the applications also, so Harshul, you were exploring Europe also, US also, I remember, right? So you are not restricted to a country. You just wanted a good brand name, right? That could, where you could actually take your potential and realize it, right? So what all factors did you, and through our process also, what were the criteria that you put? Like, what should students look at? Universities, good rankings, or good locations, or maybe, good scholarships? What exactly should be the priority?
So scholarship for me was not a priority in the beginning. And for me, the priority was a good university, a brand name first, then second the location,
Okay.
then third the professors, the course.
Faculty, yeah.
And most of all, how many people or how many people are coming from different countries. How diverse is the
diversity. Okay.
That was the main criteria because I wanted to network with a lot of people.
Okay.
I did not wanted to only focus on my education.
Okay.
That was the main criteria.
Networking was the primary criteria. And for you, Hitansu, what was like your primary criteria for universities?
For me, the primary criteria were the rankings
Okay.
and which university and what rank is it at,
Mm-hmm.
and what is the ROI,
Okay.
the return on the investment that I will do.
Definitely.
That was my most important criteria. So it comes down to a financial situation that I would want to understand that, because if I'm spending an X amount of money, I would want an Y amount of money back as well.
Definitely. Yeah.
So that was my criteria.
Yeah, spoken like a true business professional, right? So, okay, talking about the ROI only. You guys have also cracked big scholarships, right? Where people dream of it. People dream of 30,000, 45,000. Even if in 5,000, I've seen students very happy. कि कुछ तो कम हुआ, right? So, but you guys banged on $30,000, $45,000 scholarships, and this is something that will come to you, I guess, in the next 1 or 2 years also. How did you back this scholarship, right? So, for you, what was the turning point, or what was the so unique about your profiles, or in the application part, to be honest, that you both guys got dean scholarships, right? So you didn't have to apply for other scholarships directly. The dean department gave it to you. So what was so unique for you guys? What do you think Boston caught on?
So for me, I think after my interview, the interviewer who was there, I guess she was quite impressed with the interview that I gave,
Okay.
which is a very important part of your profile,
Right.
and your evaluation of getting into the university. So that was one. And I guess second was the kind of extracurricular that I have done while being at a senior management level in a Fortune 100 company.
Right.
So I guess that kind of gelled well together for them.
Definitely.
And they felt it was diverse, and also the interview went well, which I think now that it went well. So, so I guess that's the reason.
Okay. You, Harshul?
So for me, I think first my profile.
Yeah.
So my profile is very diverse according to me, and I think my interviewer also like that. And what I did in my interview was I cited examples from the multiple positions which I was in. I cited examples from my startup and even KPMG.
Right.
So being in a big four consulting firm, which is a very competitive firm, and then managing my own startup, leading a team of 20 people in my startup, and then like taking time out for my hobbies.
Yeah.
So one question I remember they asked me that what do you do in your free time, or even do you even have some free time?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Right. So I think interview and expressing yourself, like because I guess many people hide some hobbies or extracurriculars sometimes in MBA application because it's not so professional, right? But they miss out on the fact that they are not just getting students in who are good at good positions. There are millions of students like that. They're getting students who can be as good as leaders as possible, and they can only be good leaders when you're doing certain amount of things, different flexibility. So I think that's pretty true. Now, exactly the entire road to that interview, right? So I just want to take you down that lane again. So we were writing essays, I remember, right? So essays were you, Harshul, it took some time, right? There were re-edits as well from your side. Hitansu, there were unlimited re-edits, I would say, right? So there was a lot of energy put onto it, not from just our side, actually your side. I remember you coming at 9 or 10 at night from office, and then at 12 a.m., 1 a.m, our WhatsApp prank, these are the edits from my side, right? So this entire process, right, the application part, for us, we say 60% is just the application. So how important do you think the in-depth research, right, that counselors provide you, or as we call strategists here, provide you, how important are those?
Well, I think that's the key.
Okay.
For me, I think the bottom line is, if your strategist is not able to understand what you are trying to portray,
yes,
and is not able to put it into the words,
right,
then I don't think so this entire process will work. The entire system collapses.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, we have to see that the strategist is able to put your thoughts into words, which kind of get you to understand, okay, this is my story, which is penned down by somebody who's written it really nicely.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, that is the key. And for me, that was the
highlight. That was the US
process.
Yeah. I agree with Hitansu on this. Obviously, that is the key. For me, few things which were different were that did a lot of extracurriculars.
Hmm.
So Shubh found out certain strengths for me
Hmm.
in that extracurriculars and portrayed it through my essays, which
Okay.
helped me a lot
Okay.
with the SOPs. So it brought out a lot of diversity through my essays. So
Right. Okay.
To add on to that, actually, for me,
Hmm.
I'm going a little off topic, but I
Yeah.
think my entire
That's fine.
SOP
Hmm.
is such that apart from my parents and my family, I guess your team is the one who knows about me in and out. So I
Right.
think that's how in-depth research you guys have done,
Yeah.
which is really appreciated.
Yeah, so actually research goes both ways. It's not just into the university, right? It's to the student also. And when when we actually research on both sides, then we can find the gaps and the bridges, right? That can really help you. And moving forward from that, I think essays were very crucial. Next part was interview, right? And we had multiple interview sessions, right? I remember the first interview session that I went with Hitansu, he was like bolstered with work, so he took out like 20 minutes, right? And in that 20, yeah, in your office cabin, and in those 20 minutes, my first question, and Hitansu went like, "Oh wait, you tell me how to answer this, right? Because I am right now very flustered. I will not be able to answer." So how important were those interview preparations? Because I think it's MBA for me when I was also applying. MBA essays or MBA interviews are not just interviews to impress them. It's actually a reflection on your personality, on your life. I'm pretty sure for the last 6 months you have actually reflected कि भाई बहुत काम किया है, right? I didn't know my CV was looking glistening, but actually में काम किया है, and ऐसे मेरे जैसे लोग कम है, right? So how important was that interview preparation phase, and like what did you learn about yourself also?
So after applying into colleges, after your application, when you start getting admits and your interviews, that is when the actual process starts. That's when it hits you that
Right.
okay, now you have to do things with somebody else and
Right.
then go forward with this.
Right.
So I think yes, my interview preparations with Pragya, with you, with Anukriti, they were actually helped me a lot in terms of understanding, because understanding myself.
Right.
Because I have a habit of speaking a lot, which I guess everybody realizes. But then that is what I had to cut down.
Okay.
And that is what I had to make sure that I speak what is required and not extra.
Right.
So I think that is something which kind of these preparations made me understand speaking to the point.
Right.
And I think that really helped. So these preparations were way to go. Like,
Yeah. Yours.
So for me, the interview preparations helped me bring out different things from my profile. So I was only focusing on KPMG, either on my startup,
Yeah.
either on my music.
Yeah.
So I had to like give examples from all three. That is what my interview preparation taught me.
Okay. Take it. Okay. And further down the lane, right? So now, like both of your visas are done, right? And you guys are planning to fly off and all, right? So even after the admit, actually things don't stop, right? This is where the documentation, or I would say the more logistical part of it starts, right? So how was your, so there are two visa types here, because you did a Dropbox service, I guess, right? And you went for the visa interview, right? So I would want to know, like, how were your experiences? So starting with the visa interview, right? I think you were sharing with us also previous to that. How was that, like, leading to that D-Day? Everything should be particularly filed, etc. So did we help out you well, first of all? And the second was, how was the D-Day as well?
okay, so just to answer this, I just had my documents in process in line, and then the next thing I know is I have my visa date fixed.
Right.
So the documentation was just the part which obviously you helped, and then I also did my own research from getting the documents together. But after that, the entire process was like, for me it was a blur, because everything was done by you guys.
Yes.
And I just got the date.
Yeah.
This is your interview date, this is your interview time, and you have to reach there.
You have to show up.
Yes, with these documents.
Right.
So that means if it's a blur for me, and me being a hyper anxious person, that I want everything in my control.
Yeah.
So I think you have done a great job.
Okay. Okay.
So for me, it was a Dropbox. So the 3 documents are required: I-20, DS-160, and LSP. It was a very smooth process. I got my visa in a week. I got my passport delivered in a week.
Right. So just one more question, like on the Dropbox itself, right? Can you just explain, like, just give you a hint of what exactly Dropbox means, right? So because I think our students will want to know.
So if you have a US visa, tourist visa, or any kind of US visa, and it's valid, you were not a minor when you visited US, so then you can go for the Dropbox application to get into the F1 status.
Hmm.
And for that, only 3-4 documents are required.
Mhm.
And you can fill in the form online. Appointments are very easy to get.
Hmm.
If you fill the form today, you might get the appointment next week.
Okay.
And you just have to submit the documents and answer 1 or 2 questions basic.
Okay. Fair enough, right? So basically, anybody who has already a visa in the past can avoid all of that Hitanshu went through,
Yeah.
the entire hyper phase. It's okay. Take it. And finally, like down to my last 2 or 3 questions, right? So we are actually hoping, right, this year also, like there are 10 students, 6 to 10 students that are going to Boston, right? But everybody has asked me at one point or the other, what about this recession, right? So you guys are going for 1.5, 2 years degrees. By the time you graduate, things might be a little different. What are your estimations about it, and why are you guys not worried about this recession?
For me, these 2 years are the best to do your education, for your higher education.
Okay.
Like if I'm the batch that I'm going and the
Yeah.
batch that is coming up.
Okay.
The reason being that because the market was in recession because of the layoffs and everything.
Right.
So now the correction is done in the market.
Right.
So now it's anything that will happen will go upward from here.
True.
So the market correction, once it is done, now the market will start going up.
Right.
So once it starts going up right now, when you graduate by 2025-26,
Yeah.
so you will be at a very good position to grab one of the best offers that you can get.
Right. That's why I love business students. I don't have to explain this to everyone, right? So because every student that comes up to me is like, not a good time to invest. I'm like, this is the time to invest, right? Have you not seen Big Shot, right? So, but yeah.
I remember having this conversation with you when I was about to enroll with AceMyPrep.
Yeah.
That recession is coming up. Is it a good time? I also had my point that obviously it is a good time, but I had my speculations that it might not be a good time. So you helped me a lot in that, and yeah, I think it is a good time because I think people who are unemployed now will fall back to education.
Right.
We get to network with them who have worked over there in the US and are a lot more experienced than us over there.
Right.
So I think people will fall back to education over there and we'll meet for it.
Okay. Great. And coming to your post-study plans, right? So you guys are going on the exploration. I know you don't have like a pitch perfect plan ki yahi karna hai. You guys want to explore. But any idea like what will the next 3-4 years look like for you guys after graduating? I know this is an MBA question, right? You have gone through this, but yeah, some things that students also might want to know.
So I've been in the edtech industry and the business side of that.
Yeah.
And I've not explored the tech side of it.
Okay.
So for me, my plan right now is very blur, honestly. But then I would want to explore a little bit on the tech side, if that is possible, while not completely skimming off consulting.
Okay.
Which is again, he's been doing that, and that is something which also I would want to explore and do that because I've done the business side of it. So I would want to do the tech side and the consulting side of it. So then maybe get down to what I really want to do. Maybe in these 2 years will help me realize that.
Fair enough. You Harshul.
So I've been in the consulting fields since the past 4 years now. So I plan to continue that, but I want to deep dive into data analytics a little more. That's why I'm looking for a management science specialization.
Right.
And that's what I'm planning, a consulting and data analytics.
Okay. Perfect. Right. So that's it again about all of the processes that you guys went through. Last input from you guys, like there's an approach that we take. We take the course and the university approach more rather than, just giving any random opinions or any random suggestion that we take on. Rankings are okay with us, like rankings are good. But to be honest, rankings do differ, right? For consulting, there are different universities that are top. Marketing, ke liye Kellogg is one of the best, right? So this is the approach that we take, right? So, and that's what will be reflected throughout 6 months or 1 year if students are with us. So just a last input from you guys, because you're going away right now. So how did you like the entire AceMyPrep perspective, the entire process? The hard work, obviously, it's mutual, right? We need your hard work as well. We can't do it alone, right? So we promise that you on the first day itself. But the approach, right? That's what we really work on. The approach has to be really, really unique. So last comment on what our approach is.
So for me, the only honestly the only thing which convinced me to go with you guys was the clarity of thought that you guys have on the first day and the first session that you took.
Right.
And I guess that clarity of thought kind of makes it very abundantly clear that
Right.
okay, this is what your expectations are set at, and this is what you should always expect.
Right.
And so that is very, very honest and truthful, which you don't find elsewhere, or you don't find a lot. Because at the end of the day, you also have to be practical about where a student stands in terms of his ability, his IQ, his understanding of what he can do.
Right.
If a student can come and tell, I want to go to Harvard, but he might not even crack a Boston.
Right.
So that practicality and that clarity of thought is what you guys give, which I really appreciate and which I really like. So that's one USP for me.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
So a deal breaker for me was you not giving me a list of schools, partner schools that I wanted to go in, that you were forced me to.
Right.
So that was a deal breaker. You let me choose my schools, and after my profile analysis done by the career strategist, I was given a list of schools which might suit what I'm planning to do after my MBA. So then I got to select from like 50 odd schools.
Yeah.
And I further drilled down top schools and average schools. And after a lot of discussions, like you make a workstation for every student, which is accessible for 24 hours. So that is the process structure is very good at AceMyPrep, and in terms of the workstation and communication, every week we communicate with the career strategist.
Yeah.
And we can do our own research.
Yeah.
We are not forced to take up any university. Like
Yeah.
you should go for it. Yeah, this is a safe option for you.
Yeah.
So, like we are not forced.
And to add on, you guys are available 24/7, I think. Yes.
Yeah. And we had to with you. With you, we had to.
But yes, I have submitted this application at 3 a.m. in the night with my strategist, so I know that you guys are available 24/7.
Yeah, we had to actually, because there were deadlines and he was so busy, right? We couldn't get hold of him. Either he was out somewhere traveling, right? Or he was so busy in his work. But yeah, I guess both of you guys handled work and this brilliantly together. One thing that you mentioned, Hitanshu, right? So I'll just follow up on that, because you both didn't give a GMAT and yet received a top university admit with scholarship, which is brilliant. So it's all the strength of your profile, and this was the actual potential of your profile that you actually got to know, right? So what would your advice be to the students who are confused between taking a GMAT or not taking a GMAT, right? Because you guys didn't have the time and you were honest about it. Yeah, we don't have time, we are capable enough, we have done analytics, right? So what will your advice be?
My honest advice would be, if you have time, take the GMAT.
Okay.
There's no harm in taking the GMAT. Even if you get a decent score, then you can still apply for a waiver.
Right.
And if you feel that you're not confident with your profile, then you should definitely take a GMAT.
Fair enough. Good answer.
I believe if your extracurriculars are lacking or if they are less, then you should go for a competitive test. Otherwise, if you have a lot of extracurriculars, you can apply for a waiver and like try your luck.
Basically, you're saying that if you have a profile like me, you don't need to take the GMAT.
Extra multiple extracurriculars, not means that you are restricted to one hobby.
Right.
If you have done like social work also in your
Right.
other things, then you might be eligible, because they look at multiple things.
That's exactly. Okay, perfect. And the last question here will be, right, so amazing. First of all, you guys have got the admits and all, and we hope to stay in connect with you, because we want to build a community like that in US, right, which is actually looking out for each other. Right now, there are people in Boston who are already doing jobs, so they will have great leads with you also. So one advice from you guys, rather, or very honest opinion from you guys, right? How to keep this community alive? Because right now with us, right, you guys interacted with each other. There are around 20 other people that are going for top MBAs, right? So how do you think, what should be the incentive, or what should be the motive to make this community work and last it as long as possible?
So from my end, I feel honest opinion would be that AceMyPrep would have to take the initiative of it and incentivize it in terms of not just making sure that people meet together. Maybe you or maybe Pragya can travel to US once in a while.
You guys are funding that? You guys are funding that?
So just an opinion
Right.
and a suggestion that
Right.
you guys might come down to US once in a while and then get all your students together who are in Boston or who are in New York or who are in a place where you know your maximum crowd goes to, whichever place in the US, and then maybe do something there in terms of keeping the community alive. That okay, this is an AceMyPrep Delhi community, and these are students from our career our team. So yeah, you guys should be connected to each other. So I think that might help. Otherwise, the online webinars or the online
online things have gone.
meetups, yeah.
Online things have gone now. Yeah.
You can assign a city head, and over there, that person can organize community meetups for AceMyPrep. You can just shoot an email to all the students, so we all can meet.
You seriously think people open emails anymore, right?
Still in MBA, we have to.
Right. Okay, okay, thanks. That was a good advice from you guys. And the last thing is the points that you mentioned that you liked about the AceMyPrep process, right? These were some things that you expected also out of your counselors. That's what were you looking for, and we became a perfect fit. But what was that one unexpected thing from our side which actually made you say, okay, this is something that I was not expecting, and they're going to this heights or to this lengths to help us out, right? So what was that unexpected thing, one unexpected thing, even a small thing that also helps?
For me, your co-founder Pragya getting involved very, very deeply into my profile,
right?
Like just one student's profile, and doing all of that stuff, and getting in touch with me, getting in calls with me.
Right.
I think that was one thing which I did not expect. I expected more of a approach where she would assign somebody and that person would do it for her, and she wouldn't bother talking to me.
Right.
But that is something which I felt very, very
right.
So for me, it was the IELTS class.
Okay.
Yes. To add on,
I was not expecting AceMyPrep to give free IELTS training.
Yes.
With this process itself.
Yeah.
So I thought either I'll have to do it on my own, or we watch YouTube videos, or enroll somewhere for like a month or a week just to brush up and everything, the structure of the paper, the structure of the paper. But that was a surprising thing for me that you offering me that.
No, actually, our IELTS classes are actually very well rated, to be honest. We ourselves are surprised that we have 5-star rating across 5,000, 6,000 people just for IELTS.
Yes.
Right? So something really wonderful going on there. Okay, so I think with that we come to an end, right? So congratulations on your offers, guys, and hope to see you in Boston. As you mentioned, we will also fly out there to meet you guys definitely, right? So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.